Hi, Charles Cherney here. And as of October 15th, 2025, there is a new home inspection law in the state of Massachusetts. This is a law that gives a buyer a right to have a home inspection after offer acceptance within a reasonable period of time in residential real estate for a single family or a two family or a three family or a four family or a condominium. And under this law, for these property types, the seller and their agents are prohibited from encouraging a buyer to waive their right to have a home inspection after acceptance within a reasonable period of time. In fact, sellers may not accept an offer presented to them where the buyer is indicating that they are waiving their right to a home inspection. So the days of yore are gone by, and in the days gone by, a home inspection contingency was written into the offer or waived. But now, in the new era, under the new law, every buyer of a residential, single, two family, three family, four family, or condominium has a right to a home inspection after offer acceptance. This does not mean that they must conduct a home inspection after offer acceptance, but it is a guaranteed right within a reasonable period of time. Now, there are, of course, some exemptions to this new law. For example, one of them concerns pre-completion sales for new construction still under construction, where the property in question is going to feature some sort of one-year builder warranty once the work is completed. So obviously, if you cannot inspect something because it's not completed, the law would not pertain in that circumstance, but then there are additional protections per a builder's warranty upon completion. It's not going to pertain to sales to relatives, family, or foreclosure transfers, or divorce proceedings, or estate transfers. So there are some exemptions that all make sense. But generally speaking, in most all circumstances now, if you're buying one of the property types that the law affords you a right to have a home inspection after offer acceptance, that is your right. So what is allowed under this new law? The purchaser can signal in presenting their offer that they will only choose not to proceed if the estimated aggregate cost of repairs exceeds X dollars, right? So it's still the case that a buyer can identify a dollar amount as long as that dollar amount is reasonable, that they would only choose not to proceed if the inspection uncovered repairs exceeding that number. So let's just choose an example. Let's assume that it's a condominium for 500,000 and the buyer indicates that they will only choose not to proceed if the aggregate cost of repairs exceeds 5,000, right? So what if they were to write in 50,000? That may not be considered reasonable because it's such a high number. But again, that'll be a subject of future discussion. I'm sure what determines whether something is reasonable or not. But look, in short, in brief, we're in a new market with a new rule that allows a buyer to do a home inspection by law for singles, two families, three families, four families, or condominiums. And where this is maybe mainly going to have some significance is in a multiple offer situation. So let's consider that 123 Main Street is on for $1 million and it generates 6 offers. In the days gone by, the buyers who removed the home inspection contingency from their offer would likely have a leg up in the competition to be the winning offer accepted. However, under the new home inspection law, since no one can waive their right to a home inspection and the seller cannot discriminate against a buyer who plans to do a home inspection because everyone enjoys that right and cannot tell someone to waive that, we are in a world now where the seller will have to consider which offer to accept and understand whichever one they do accept, that buyer will have the right in a reasonable period of time to conduct a home inspection. So it's meant to, I think, level the playing field in a multiple offer situation with regard to the home inspection element. Look, there are still other factors at play that inform a seller's decision in a multiple offer situation. Is the buyer all cash? How quickly can they close? Are they meeting other specific terms or requests made by the seller, right? So it's not just about the home inspection, of course, in a multiple offer scenario. What's the amount they're willing to pay to own the property, of course, is the most significant part of an offer in a multiple offer situation, generally speaking. But I think that the intent of the law was meant to reel in the buyer who felt that they were diving in the dark without a deeper understanding of the property. Now, as it happens, and this is fascinating, there's nothing that this new law has to say about pre-offer home inspector consults or inspections. So it'll be interesting to see if people still choose to visit a property with a home inspector before offers are due when multiple offers are expected. Not sure how that's going to play out. In the old days, buyers felt like they really didn't have a choice in many instances. It's either get it done before bids are due or don't feel like you're going to have a chance to have a home inspector through. Now, under the new law, with your protected right to have a home inspection in a reasonable period of time, maybe those buyers might say, why should I spend money in advance when I know I can, after offer acceptance, be in there with a home inspector? So I have a feeling the number of pre-offer home inspector visits will reduce greatly under this new law. And also what's interesting to think about is that it may lead to a certain number of additional sales coming back on the market because the buyer feels like, oh, I have an out, right? If I'm not satisfied with the home inspection, even if there's an aggregate, right, they can imagine that they can find, or the inspector will find some dollar amount in excess of the aggregate, affording them the right to exit the transaction. So where I think that is going to be interesting to watch and see how it plays out is, many times when there's a new listing and very limited time to make an informed decision, a buyer may now feel like, well, let's make an offer. And if we then decide after the home inspection we're not interested, we'll just exit. So we may see a certain number of multiple offer situations come back on the market by way of the avenue of the home inspection, simply because now that is a protected right, where in the past, you may not have had a home inspection contingency or the right to visit with a home inspector after offer acceptance to get your offer accepted. So look, it is what it is. It's certainly going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And I will be involved, as many agents will, in tracking the reality of the implementation of the new law. But look, there is a law, there is a disclosure form that a seller, a listing agent, and the buyer must sign prior to execution of an offer. So everyone's informed and understands this right. And it's not something that can be avoided or made light of. It's the real deal. It's a requirement now that a buyer be afforded the right to a home inspection for a single family, a two-family, a three-family, a four-family, or a condominium. Myself and my business partner, Maggie D, welcome the opportunity to connect with you on this topic to answer additional questions you may have as a buyer or seller as you aim to buy the right home or sell for the best price. Reach out by text, telephone, or email at any time if we may be of service to you in Cambridge, Somerville, and beyond. Be in touch. Thanks.